Dude, at least come on, give us a response.
Sportscast, July 28th, 2020. If you haven't yet, please subscribe in all our channels, Periscope, iTunes. And if you're in iTunes, please leave a rating and review. It will help us out tremendously. And of course, you can check us out on thesportscast.net, thesportscast.net for the latest and greatest when it comes to sports. And this episode is brought to you by Insta Bible app. You can get the Insta Bible app on the iOS App Store. And of course, go share the verse to the world. Sports is a big question mark right now. The Marlins were said a see you later, let's pause the season. And of course, because they had 14 coronavirus positives, and something that Major League Baseball has to deal with. So here at the Sportscast, we'll be monitoring what's going to happen with the Marlins. The Phillies, of course, is definitely they've been tested negative for the coronavirus, and so far as I know, every other team is negative. Anyways, we got Justin Reilly, a man that is feeling much better from his back. He's totally healed now. He's able to run a marathon. Justin, welcome back to the Sportscast.
I wasn't able to run a marathon before the back injury, so I don't know if I am really equipped to do it now. But yes, what Santiago said is correct. I am feeling much better.
What did you do? I mean, were you taking like hydroxychloroquine or something, or
just good old fashioned therapy, brother? I've been going to the chiropractor pretty regularly. This all last week, and then I went yesterday as well. Just getting a lot of rest, not doing anything really to exert myself, and applying a lot of BioFreeze. That's a miracle worker right there. Definitely helped me feel a lot better. So that's pretty much what I had to do, and I kind of had to let it run its course, and just had some great folks working on me, so it made a difference.
And do you? I was going to ask you if you could promote your chiropractor and possibly promote him or her. But anyways, we'll for sure definitely talk about that. Justin, before we head on to our main show, Alabama had a major addition to the recruiting class for 2021. Can you tell us a little bit? Can you tell us a little bit about that story that happened this past Sunday?
Past Sunday, man, we got some more beef up front on that defensive line. Damon Payne silenced all the people who were questioning up and down Twitter, Facebook, whatever social media outlet it was, and he's heading to Tuscaloosa. So we're pretty excited about that. Coach Saban really has been making the most out of this digital recruiting opportunity he's had because of the pandemic. And Alabama is soaring in the rankings, recruiting rankings, that is. Even more. These past few weeks have been just incredible.
Yeah, of course. Mr. Damon Payne is a 5-star recruit based out of Michigan, defensive tackle, and 6'4", almost 300 pounds, and definitely was pursued by USC, Kentucky, Michigan State, Arizona State, Ohio State, Michigan, and of course the almighty Georgia Bulldogs. But Nick Saban snatched him, and he'll be joining the Brockermeyer twins, which Justin's been talking about this all week about. So looking forward to this 2021 class because 2020 ain't looking good, right, Justin?
Well, 2020 is a big question mark. We don't know what it's going to look like, when it's going to go down. It's a big cluster right now. But as far as recruiting goes, we're right on point. And yes, the Brockemeyer twins, nice addition right out of Texas. So, man, a lot to be excited about.
A lot to be excited about, but I'm not as excited as what's going to happen tonight. Justin, give us the honors, the red carpet of what's going to go on tonight.
Oh, man, I will. First of all, I got to start out. Located in the shadow of Bryant-Denny Stadium, Rama Jammas is a place to go for fabulous food. Breakfast served all day, a wide variety of sandwiches, and the best sweet tea and milkshakes this side of heaven. Guys, if you're hungry and you need that football experience right next to heaven on earth, Bryant-Denny Stadium, head to Rama Jammas. All right.
And ask for the Justin special.
I don't know if I'm noteworthy enough to get a special yet. I think if we continue to mention these good guys for a while, I might get on there one day, but dare to dream. But let's go ahead and do what we came to do. This is Tuesday. That means we're talking with a Tide legend, and we got another one tonight, guys. He's a 1999 SEC champion, 2000 and 2001 academic All-SEC selection, winner of the Sylvester Croom Commitment to Excellence Award, a Senior Bowl invitee, member of the Denver Broncos, the then San Diego Chargers, Scottish Claymores, and Frankfurt Galaxy, one of the best running backs to ever play at the University of Alabama, Ahmaad Galloway.
How we doing, guys?
Ahmaad,
Man,
great.
doing great.
Great, man. How you been? Where are you at these days?
Well, I'm in Pensacola, and actually I was headed to Fort Walton, so I'm not sure what went on with my cell phone because of the weather here, but I'm down south. I'm by the beach.
Well, you hear you are fine where we can hear you from. So thank God the lightning or like the thunder is not affecting the call tonight. But Ahmaad, tell us, how did you get into football?
Well, I guess maybe it was the seventh grade. I grew up in a military family. I'm an only child. I've always wanted to go to college. Military was just not my route. I'm terrified of guns. So I found something that I could, believe it or not. But I just found something I could do outside of academics that was going to guarantee me an end to a major university. So that's what led me to it, is just kind of running away from the military.
Tell us about your high school experience.
Which is unique because you're talking about a culture shock. I'm originally from San Diego, California, but I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, a little small town right outside of Memphis. So I get there. Justin Timberlake's my high school classmate.
No way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Sports class exclusive.
Which my nickname is the hometown hero. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This guy's amazing.
Was he a sports guy back then? Was he playing sports?
No. Believe it or not, hey, he started out in the Mickey Mouse Club. So you can imagine how popular.
I remember that.
How
Justin's favorite show.
Was. Yeah, right. That was everybody's favorite show back then.
It was. They had quite a cast.
Yeah, they did. But it was a small military town. Got a chance just to grow up around friends that we were really close knit. Myself and my best friend came to Bama. I committed to Notre Dame out of high school originally just to try to get some of the phone calls down, but we went to Alabama and just had a fantastic time. The group of guys I grew up with, we all promised each other that we'd finish with our degrees. So, just growing up with a close, group of friends like that kind of really set the tone for my college experience.
How was your style? How were you like as a football player back in high school? Your style?
Well, in high school, I was about 190, so I was considered, 190 to 205. I was considered a big high school back. Pretty good speed, but just a overall bruiser in terms of being very physical in nature. I like to deliver the blow. Rushed for 2,500 yards back to back my junior and senior year. So when I came in a stadium, it was only a matter of how many 100 yards was I going to rush for that night.
I hear you, bro. That's what I'm talking about. You're talking about the culture shock from going to California to Memphis, man. I'm sure that food-wise, that was a big change for you too. But
yeah, no more fish tacos.
Ooh,
that's
which I had that
barbecue.
this past weekend.
Right.
Well, now, going back, you said you initially chose Notre Dame, but ultimately you chose Alabama. Of course, during that time, we were in a rebuilding period, and you decided to go with us over some big names, like you just mentioned, Notre Dame, Nebraska, Michigan, Florida, and they were really prevalent at that time. What made you feel like Alabama was the clear choice?
Well, Kendall Moorhead was a big-time player out of the Memphis area. We knew each other in high school. Eric Locke was a big-time player coming out of Tennessee. He was my roommate as well. Again, they're my best friend going, really sealed the deal. Of course, when you get there, you looked at the litany of running backs that have come through. I really felt like that was a place where, if I was going to prove myself in the SEC, why not go to running back university?
Was Notre Dame your close second, or was it?
Well, Notre Dame was a close second, with Stanford being a third. I think they fired Tyrone Willingham that year, just when I got to Bama, they actually lost the game on my visit, but from an academic standpoint, it was just second to none. I knew if I was going to earn a degree from anywhere in the SEC, that would be a great place.
When you stepped foot on the campus, Alabama wasn't what the modern day fans experiencing. Like I mentioned before, we were rebuilding in year 3 under Mike DeBose. What was that atmosphere like for you at the time?
At that time, I think, we still had the leadership of Sean Alexander, which, once that guy stepped on the field, it was like, magic. And so we were anchored by Cornelius Griffin. I saw players like Fernando Bryant come through, but in terms of being the anchor of the team, it was going to be more on the hands of Sean Alexander and Chris Samuels in that running game. So for a year, I got a chance to be around some really special things. We got a chance to just an SEC champion all the way until when you lose that leadership, and then we're all searching. So at that point, when we were searching, it was not a good feeling. You look to your brothers left and right, but you knew that we weren't in order, and so we had some rebuilding that we had to do. Of course, we had a new coach come in and kind of put some patches on things for a little while, but it's just great to see where guys are now. In terms of where we were and where the program is now, we're certainly not where they are now.
How was the coaching staff when you first arrived?
Young. You had a young Dabo Swinney. You had a veteran in Ivy Williams. You had a veteran in Ivy Williams, but again, on the defensive side, some of the coaches are still kind of young. And so I do think there was a point where we really didn't have an identity. For this to be running back U, there were times when we were lining up back then 5 wide when that wasn't our identity. So it's just a lot of tough times. I think we had a lot of good ideas, but no real identity once Sean Alexander left.
How was Dabo back then?
Young, great. The drills that I've used throughout my career in terms of coaching, which is funny because anytime I've ever coached, I always take receivers. And I think that's one of the things that helped me get drafted is that I had hands, but I would always go through Dabo's drills. So, Dabo was just a really good guy. He was young at the time, didn't deserve to be in the line of fire that he was put in. But in terms of just a technician, he was amazing. His drills were good. He was always well prepared. but I saw a very youthful Coach Sweeney at the time. I can see now where being a head coach certainly wears on you a little bit.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, of course, we did win the SEC championship in 1999, but I really want to kind of start focusing on when it was your time there. Many felt that Sean Bohannon was going to be the next star in the backfield coming into that 2000 season. However, you quickly emerged as the feature back in the offense, and that was definitely apparent against Vandy that year when you rushed for 172 yards and a touchdown. How were you able to become the guy in the backfield that year?
Well, I just, at that point, it's funny because, as I was a junior in Tennessee, I always heard about this guy on the east side of Tennessee named Sean Bohannon, and then I get there and I'm playing with him. Sean, there was a time where Bohannon sat out the spring, I think due to academic reasons, of which that was the time I won my second spring MVP. And I just wanted to make a statement that year. It's hard for me to allow a guy, and we're good friends, but it's hard for me to allow a guy to start in front of me that hadn't been there all spring.
I completely understand that. Of course, the expectations were pretty high for the 2000 season. Many experts believed we would win the national championship. Instead, things went horribly wrong. Not only did we not win the national title, but we finished with only 3 wins. In addition to that, Coach DeBose was let go. What do you feel went wrong that year?
What's ironic is when I look back at it statistically, I think that was my best season. So I don't think it should have been we no longer have a Sean Alexander. I think it should have been we have the next 220-pound running back who's a Doak Walker finalist. Let's keep feeding him. I just think our offensive game plan changed. We had an electrifying player in Freddie Millens, but I don't think we were quite a 5-wide team. I do think we should have been more of a downhill running team.
And that year obviously said, was your best year. Which game was your most memorable game that season?
Well, to me, the most memorable game would be the Vanderbilt game. Because the first play of scrimmage, set the tone of which, that was the first play of scrimmage. I should have had 20 more carries like that. I don't think in my time at Bama I ever had games that were over, 10 to 12 carries.
And what were your thoughts about the coach getting fired? Like, was that something that it had to be done?
At the time, just because the order of the program, there's a great discipline, a great expectation that comes with playing at Bama, and we were far off the path.
Right. And, in 2001, I remember walking out of the weight room at the old aquatic center after a workout, and I'd pass by the practice field pretty regularly. And for the first time in a long time, I really felt energy coming from the players. I heard y'all hollering and cheering each other on. What was that transition like from Mike DeBose to Coach Francione?
Well, we were just excited to have the expectation set upon us. But this time it was from an outsider. And so even as an outsider, the expectations were set a little higher, but they weren't, SEC type standards, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. And that season, we had a lot of close losses, but I saw improvement game after game. But then the Iron Bowl happened at Jordan-Hare. No one expected us to win. However, Andrew, Santonio, and you had a different plan. Matter of fact, y'all went off. We won 31-7. Can you describe that experience for all the listeners, especially those of us who really enjoyed that game?
Yeah, at that time, our line was Wesley Britt and Justice Line. Those guys were starting the season a little bit, and so they were firing off the ball. Great run blockers, but Lord, the holes were there all night. Which as we were able to get downhill and run the ball effectively that night, that opened up the passing game. But I just think we were a scrappy team. We wanted to win. We came out firing on all cylinders. that night any one of the 4 running backs in the stable could have rushed for 100 or better.
01 season, Ahmaad, how would you rate that season for yourself compared to 2000?
And I'm sorry?
How would you rate yourself for the 2001 season compared to 2000?
Now, I do think my junior year, the focus was a little bit more on the run game, but I do think that final year, we were set when we were rotating backs, which was fine by me. I do think my senior year is when I finally said, hey, I got to rush for 12 to 15 before I get out of here. And I think I was on the path for that.
And this is the transition to your senior season. Of course, we were placed on probation and a bowl ban at that time. Even though the team was placed on probation, it seemed like it really didn't matter to you guys. Most programs would not have been motivated at that point. It wasn't that way for y'all. What kept that fire strong, even though we couldn't play for anything other than pride?
I mean, and that's you just said it. I mean, it is Alabama, and so it's hard not to get up for a game when you're playing at Alabama. Spring games were sometimes the most memorable games because we're trying to beat the snot out of each other and compete for playing time and position. But when you're around that crowd, I mean, the energy that you feel, the love, the support. I mean, even coming off a 3-8 season, I mean, you feel like you do owe the fans something.
Oh, no doubt, man. Of course, we got off to a great start. We didn't win at Oklahoma, but, I mean, it still kind of felt like a victory because we were on the right track. We almost upset them in their own house. And later on that year, we destroyed a Nick Saban-led LSU in Baton Rouge, 31-0. Of course, we had a special season in the making. Then Game 3 against USM happened. You tore your ACL, MCL, and missed the remainder of your senior year. What was your mindset at that point, and how did it test your faith?
Well, at that point, I said I was just trying to see if I could come back from injury. That was a big challenge for me. You all, as an athlete, you always want to go out on your own terms. But I guess the most disappointing thing was just I didn't end on my own terms, and so from a faith standpoint, kind of just sitting back and as the guys are getting ready for the combine, getting ready for the draft, knowing that you're a little bit at a disadvantage, that for the first time you're vulnerable, so that wasn't a great feeling.
Can you tell us the process, heading towards the NFL draft? What were scouts telling you?
In my mind, free agent, late rounds, just because I didn't run at the combine. Top end speed was always questioned. I ran at my senior pro day and had a great 20-yard and pulled my quad, so I really didn't know. I didn't play in the Senior Bowl, so it was just kind of. It was a mystery. There were some good backs that didn't get drafted that year. Ernest Graham out of Florida did not get drafted. Santonio didn't get drafted. And so, to get drafted at all was just, an honor and a shock in some sense.
You slid to the 7th round, and you were picked up by the Broncos. Of course, they were not short on talent that year. You had quite the task ahead of you with a crowded running back room. Garrison Hurst, Reuben Drones, Quentin Griffin, and like you said, your former teammate Santonio Beard. Knowing all that, what was your mindset going into that situation?
Just compete. At that point, I wasn't even quite healthy. But I just went in with a compete mentality. I had trained with Garrison Hurst over the going into the combine because, of course, he was coming off a second ACL injury, which he'd won Comeback Player of the Year twice. So just getting a chance to compete and see how he rehabbed himself from that standpoint. I had SEC guys that I trained with, so I felt like I was going to make that squad. And so, Nonetheless, Shanahan, the guys called me in, and then put me on IR after seeing me have a very physical spring. And so I was fortunate enough to be kept on the roster for a year.
Ahmaad, how was the rehab process at the time? Has modern science improved? Has it improved since then?
I think it has. Of course, my first year coming off my knee injury, my first game action was really in Glasgow, Scotland. The weather wasn't great, the grass was mushy. So I never really felt like I was healthy that second year. Or if they say that ACL, MCL is a 2-year injury, I really felt explosive again. And so, the way the athletes are now, it's not a season, it's not a career-ending injury. Guys can bounce back from it. But I do think in terms of being an athlete and phenomenal and freakish, I had my limitations. So that's why I don't think I had the career after that.
Who was your closest brother when you were at the Broncos? Who were you really close with?
Mike Anderson. Mike Anderson and Clint Porter are going to be the guys that I dealt with the most. I'm trying to think. Yeah, Mike Anderson and Clinton Portis.
Clinton Portis. Wow, he's a legend.
And then Al Wilson. Because we're from virtually around the same area. He's right outside of Memphis.
I do want to talk about your time with the Broncos. A lot of the chatter that I was hearing was that you were the future of that Broncos backfield. They were supposedly very happy with you and it's really building you up as to be the next guy. Then all of a sudden they decide, we're going to trade him to San Diego. With that being said, what led to your departure from Denver? Because I'm still scratching my head about that one.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. When I look at it, if I had to choose, I wasn't when Denver ran a lot of one-back sets, and a lot of the Denver running backs, excluding Clinton Portis, which he's a 100% tailback. A lot of those guys can play tail and fullback, and I had no want or desires of playing the fullback position. A coach put me in fullback in San Diego and got brave enough, and I went in there and gonna block the fullback and jumped out the way, and he said, "Galloway, you're gonna get somebody hurt." I said, "But it won't be me." And so I've never wanted to play that fullback position.
And go ahead, Justin. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to circle back to your time in the NFL Europe. You mentioned your time in Scotland. That's actually a place that's on my bucket list that I want to go to. Can you kind of talk about your time there? And did you really feel like your time spent in the NFL Europe really made a difference in your development? And do you think what was so successful about the NFL Europe formula as opposed to what we got from the AAF or the XFL?
The Alliance.
Just, I think the history of the NFL Europe, and then the first year I wasn't quite healthy. I don't even feel like I should have been starting. That second year, it was a very good season for me. I got my confidence back, and just to have the team put on my back, just felt good again. I felt like, I'd recovered fully from my injury, and I'm gonna be honest. At that point, I was really ready to get out of football. But I enjoyed the experience. I think I stressed a little bit that first trip around in Scotland. But even, after being released and things like that, I said I was going to enjoy Germany. It was a place that I really wanted to play the first year because it was not as rainy. And so I really made the most out of Germany. They were used to good running backs coming through with Skip Hicks. I think Curtis Alexander even played there. So they were used to it, and so I really took Frankfurt, Germany in.
Ahmaad, NFL Europe, of course, is in our memories. I know Kurt Warner came out of there. What level? How would you describe the level of play with NFL Europe? Was it high level? Was it NFL, or was it like one step down?
It was maybe 2 steps down. every now and then they have a national player that they put, on the field. And so when you look up as a tailback and the last name of the lineman is Gunther Gooms, and you feel like, whoa, this looks a little different. And so, when you're used to seeing American-style linemen versus, some of the guys that are from other countries that are not as big, the physical aspect and the speed is a little bit different. But for guys that were tuning up, it was good. It was good practice. I think what made it better than the AAFL, again, it was just the history and the structure of the league.
Mm-hmm. And was like the league mostly, was it mostly U.S. players, or was it more like European players when you were there?
It was mostly U.S. players, okay. but just being honest, some of those a lot of the guys that were there weren't even the big name guys when they were on campus.
Gotcha.
That they were just fighting to make a team. So when you're playing in the NFL, everybody was a big name.
Yeah. So when you were there, was that was your feeling was like a whole lot of these players had a shot to play for like the NFL, or was it like only like 2% of
only 2%? You're saying exactly right. Yeah, you're saying it exactly right. I looked around and said, hey, which in turn made me look at it like a vacation.
Oh wow.
I said, hey, maybe only 2% of these guys gonna play. I'm on my way out. Let me enjoy this.
Yeah, it's interesting because I talk about it with Justin a lot. Like, you don't see many players coming from the CFL to the NFL.
Right.
And back at NFL Europe, you just heard Kurt Warner and a few names, but it wasn't that much.
Right. Even guys that tried to revive. I played with Achilles Smith was my quarterback. The big name out of Oregon, and he never made it back. I mean, Lord, I think Rohan Davey was over there, which big arm, big guy, but never, no guys really ever got back in the league and lit it on fire.
You think like there should be another lower league, maybe like NFL Europe, or maybe have that like the XFL, like have that that league for that, have that little second chance league, or what are your thoughts about that?
No. I'm just gonna be honest. Outside of an arena league that these guys may want to pick up and do just because they know it's arena, I don't think there should be a league. Once you leave college, it's either you're in the NFL or you need to go work a job.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Justin and I talk about this all the time, and it feels like if you don't make it to the NFL on like day one, it's like over.
Right. Which, here's the thing, is it really over if you earn a degree? And it's the college experience shouldn't be, hey, if you don't make it to the NFL, it's bust. Hey, it's, if you earned a degree, what did you do with your time there? So, yeah. It's kind of catch 2020. But unfortunately, athletes are put in a position to where as soon as they step on campus, it's either, hey, they're playing in the NFL or it's bust.
Yeah, because a lot of them, don't really put time in like education, right?
And some of them don't, but then some of them do.
Yeah.
Which it's like 12 years later in education, I'm like, hey, did I really not make it? Just being honest, as a seventh rounder, I've made more money in education than I did in the NFL.
Right.
I think I took home a $13,000 signing bonus, which I brought home 11, maybe, or something like that.
This is a good talk. This is a good conversation. I like this because
you're absolutely right. I think society really glorifies more. Were you able to go pro? Were you able to get that big check?
Yeah.
But
never mind my English degree from Alabama. Never mind the English degree from Alabama.
Yeah, exactly.
I put that on the table. I feel like I can compete with anyone.
I just feel like the college experience and what you did at college really, to me, carries more weight, because even if you don't make it pro, and like you said, you got that piece of paper that says I did something that not everybody can do. And then too, what you did in college, man, you're remembered as a legend for the rest of your life. And anywhere you go, you know, you're going to be held in high regard. And a lot of times it really helps you get into job situations that normally may not have been, you know, available. But I really just feel like college is more of the special time, and not enough weight is being you know, put on that, you know.
Hey, ask Justin
Right.
Herbert. He did it.
What's that?
Right.
Because that's the thing about Alabama. If you played at Alabama at any time, doesn't matter if you're first string, second string, third string, you are remembered as an icon forever. That's just the way our fan base, you know, reacts. That's how we treat our athletes. We're all one big family, and we make a big deal about y'all. You know, when we see you. That's just the way it is. That's the culture.
You think Nick Saban kind of like emphasized their players to focus on school, or?
Yeah, I think he does, just because he looks at it holistically. He looks at the complete player and the complete person, and I do think that's what makes the difference. Is when you work like that on the field and you work like that on the classroom, it's just an expectation.
His work
You
ethic.
say that from a fan base. It's not like we have subpar fans. We have great fans who themselves have gone through the university or are closely tied to it, just well educated. So they have expectations because they know what a special place it is for anybody, let alone the athletes.
Right. Okay, so you're out of the NFL, but then God opened the door to coaching. Why do you think he led you down that path?
Well, I'm just going to me honestly, just because I've always liked education. It was the way that I could get in. You know, it's hard telling somebody, hey, you know, I don't care what you tell them about, you know, hey, my name is Ahmaad Galloway. Automatically, they cut you off. They in their mind, they're like, hey, I know you. You're that football player. You're da-da-da. They don't hear anything about, hey, I'm an English major. I'm a public relations minor and a Spanish minor. They don't hear any part of that. And so, you know, I had to coach so I can get in education.
And Ahmaad, while you were coaching, who was your style? I mean, like how was your style with coaching? Like
Any one of my assistant coaches that could keep the practice going while I was somewhere getting my certification.
I hear you. Well,
I really care. I mean, just being honest. So I was kind of pushing being a head coach. Guys, I have no desire to throw Tommy or Timmy, you know, a ball 1,000 times. If he catches it, great. If he doesn't, he's greater than that. I mean, I had maybe 4 plays in high school. Everybody in the stadium knew I was getting the ball. I mean, you know, there's no schematic way that you draw. I mean, Derrick Henry was Derrick Henry when he was in high school. No coaches made him. I'm more about academics because, these guys, you know, and then I'm about males and females. You know, the joke in the school is if you call me Coach Galloway, I'll go nuts because I never wear a whistle. I have on slacks, but I mean, it was my way in. But you know, I'm kind of on that other side of things. I'm just big on academics.
That's awesome. And like the talent pool when you coach, how was it back then?
I saw players, but I mean, you know, did I see anybody that made me look like me? No. You know, and that's for me or against me. And when I say look like me, I take me out of the equation and think about some of the players that I played with. Finding those players are hard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get excited. You hear about a recruiting class. I mean, which the brothers that we got coming in on the O-line, that's phenomenal. But I mean, finding these athletes, it's just not. It's just, you know,
you can't find it like
it's just not growing on trees
Henry easily.
Right. I mean, where is he? You know,
needle in the haystack, right, Justin?
Right.
Yeah, pretty much. And, you know, truth be told, you know, a lot of people put so much emphasis on recruiting class, having the top, you know, class or top 5, top 10 or whatever. and the fact of the matter is, a lot of those guys, they don't really pan out like everybody's projecting them to. And you're putting a whole lot of added pressure on these kids.
I'd say you really are. And what the sad thing is, it kind of scares them off, and before you know it, they're not even thinking about school from an academic standpoint.
Not at all.
Now they're behind in credits. The smart guys are getting some things done and can graduate early and transfer some other, but you never hear about the guys that end up leaving, don't make it. I mean, out of a recruiting class of 25, guys, they're 6 that leave that you never hear about.
Wow.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Six kids from small, I call them Odo, all from small towns that have just walked away from an Alabama degree.
Have you thought about maybe being a mentor to these college players to pursue school and education?
Yeah, I think it's better suited from if I was in the service myself. And so that's the higher I get in education. I'm working on my literacy foundation right now that I do with the NFL Players Association. So that's my next big push. And then it's a big plus to have guys like Sean Alexander come back around, or LaDainian Tomlinson, Clinton Porter, some of the guys that I could hide behind that have the bigger names that are still willing to help out and be good friends.
LT, one of the greatest running backs of all time.
Yeah, great teammate.
Of course, now you're the dean at Workman Middle School. I want to hear your take on this. To me, when I was in education, I was coaching and teaching at Homewood Middle in Birmingham, Alabama, and that age group of kids was really special to me. But I really want to hear why you felt like that specific age group is special.
I really felt like at that age group, both male and female, you can point them in the right direction. Say, hey, young ladies, this is what a man should look like in terms of dating. Are his pants on his waist? How does he, what are his mannerisms? What does he sound like? What is his conversation like? What are the type of things that he's talking about? And I try to model that both for male and females. Got to tell the males, hey, guys, it's not a locker room. And so being able to point that out real early, because sometimes by the time you get them as juniors and seniors, the habits are already formed. It's when you can start nipping things in the bud from 6th to 8th grade.
Yeah, and you nailed it right there. Is they're in that transition phase of they're at a crossroads and they're trying to figure out who exactly they are. And then by the time, like you said, when they're juniors and seniors, it's already formed. But you really have a special time to where you can be responsible for them becoming just amazing young men and young women. And it's so critical for them to have a positive role model, because now in society, they really don't have that in the home. And I really saw that a lot when I was teaching and coaching, and a lot of my students and players were always coming to me because they just didn't really have that leadership that they were yearning for.
Yeah, but I mean, even for those that do have it, in the realm of education, we're still kind of placed in that world where we're held to higher moral standards, which is a good thing. If we go away from that, heaven forbid, at which, I think at one point we were trying to find a way out. But when you sign up for that, you sign up for the entire package. You realize, hey, where you teach, when you're in the neighborhood store, that Gatorade you're buying better be Gatorade. Eyes could be on you in aisle 9, but it's okay. You know that, you accept it, and you teach kids that you can live like that. I mean, because this culture right now is, they're thinking, hey, if I live to be 35, that's old. And it's like, not really, guys. So,
just getting started.
Yeah, I never forget teaching down in Miami, and I was in an older E class, and I had a Miami student ask me, Mr. Galloway, you don't drive a foreign vehicle? I was thinking to myself, well, even it's a regular E class, it is foreign, but I mean, what did you expect to see a Lamborghini outside? I can't afford one of those. No. Like, man,
neither we
can. See a spaceship outside?
So, Ahmaad,
I don't know.
Do you think that high school football or even college football should emphasize these players to get more into education? Maybe become a requirement. Hey, if you don't get a C or B, you can't go to the NFL draft. Like, you think it should be pushed more?
It'll never happen. I mean, it's just the foundation's been laid, and education is kind of an afterthought. And so, I do think you're going to see guys become more educated the more business savvy they get. You look at what Michael Jordan's doing. Look at what Magic Johnson's doing. Heck, you look at Patrick Mahomes, what he's done now and having some ownership with the Royals. At some point, it's going to take a business mind to run some of the endeavors that you have going. You can't huddle up with your friends and draw it up on dirt. Somebody's going to have an MBA. Somebody's going to have some management skills at some point.
Yeah, and also with Shaq, he owns like a percentage of the Sacramento Kings. I think having a business degree, having knowledge on entrepreneurship, how to handle money with finance. There's a lot of opportunities out there. And, like we were talking about before, I could see a Nick Saban really pushing for this.
Well, he actually has been. I don't mean to interrupt anybody, but he has been doing that for quite some time because, I remember talking to Matt Caddell and some other players and some people who are close to the team while Nick Saban's been down there. He actually has executives and high-ranking officers and companies come in. I don't know how many days a week or whatnot it happens, but they spend time with the players, teaching them about life after football, teaching them skills, preparing them for life, and just really investing in that guy, who, what they're going to be like after they leave Alabama or after the pros. And I definitely know he's on board for something like that. Whether it's that way across the board, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, just at some point, though, everybody's going to be a professional or something. And so, the likelihood that it's not going to be a professional athlete. The thing is, I got a good friend of mine, he's a guy who's 26. This guy's 26 with 3 different businesses who, he wouldn't believe it or not, but he's light years in front of some guys that retired out of the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
This guy in all 3 businesses has a clientele. He's been on it he's in his 3rd year successfully. So, at 26, he's already,
he's right here years ahead.
Above. Right. And so just getting guys to kind of not be so far behind the curve, guys aren't completing internships and getting hands-on experience when they're college athletes. It's go to class for a little bit and then you're hands-on with football.
Well, there you have it. It feels like this is a education subject topic that's pretty interesting to talk about. Obviously, we pay attention a lot with sports. But, Justin, anything else before we head into rapid fire?
Yeah, just one more question. We know Ahmaad Galloway, the football player. Who is Mr. Galloway, the educator?
Just somebody believes that any and everybody, can achieve. I don't, I hear people say, I'm sure you have bad students. The students at this point, they're still wanting to be led. I tell you what, in 12 years, I've never given below a C and I've never written anybody up. I just think the point of the matter is to be in class instead of out of it. So I just have a good time seeing kids reach their dreams, whatever they are.
Well, there you have it.
Awesome.
Let's head into rapid fire. Quick questions, quick answers. I'll start with this. Ahmaad, how was Drew Brees like?
Great teammate, great husband, great father. By far, the most talented teammate I've been around.
All right, I got a question now. I have been waiting to ask this. And it's from your buddy Marvin Constant. How many pet snakes died before you gave up on the dream of being a snake owner?
All right. Okay, we'll stop at 4. I hope no one's listening.
I know he is.
Yeah, he probably
couldn't wait.
Who do you keep in touch the most from Alabama?
Kenny Smith.
Really? Wow.
Kenny Smith, by far.
What does Ahmaad Galloway look like in the current Alabama / Steve Sarkisian offense?
He looks like a guy that won't let his quarterback be touched by an opposing linebacker.
Oh, I like to hear that.
Ahmaad, which Alabama player impressed you the most last season?
Last season, Ruggs.
We've heard that a lot.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hard not to.
Another question from an audience member. How would you have prepared better before that injury happening, knowing what you know now?
I probably wouldn't have stressed as much. I did feel the pressure coming into my senior year, and I stressed a little bit. But, I mean, I had it in my mind that, this was it and I needed to get it done. But I just didn't know it was going to be cut that short so quickly.
Right.
College football, which player was the best player that you played with and against?
The best player that I played with would be Chris Samuels or Sean Alexander. Against would be Al Wilson.
Interesting, Justin.
Man, he's right on point right there. Who did you want to beat most at Alabama, Auburn or Tennessee?
Ooh, Auburn.
Wow. Things are turning towards Auburn. And which fan base was the most annoying and still to this day is the most annoying for you?
Tennessee.
Yeah,
Wow.
Amen. I completely agree with that. I'm gonna ask you a hard one now. Who makes better barbecue, Memphis or Tuscaloosa?
Great question.
I gotta go with Memphis on this one. I'm a homer.
Yeah, Memphis barbecue is
Although
Even
white
over-
barbecue sauce is something that just it can't be competed with.
I agree with that completely.
From your 4 years of college, what was the most memorable game?
The Iron Bowl that year.
I think we have
Who
one
was
more. Right,
faster?
Justin?
Yeah, I got one more. Who was faster, Santonio Beard, Sean Alexander, or you?
Wow.
Oh my goodness, Antonio Beard by far.
Oh wow, I wasn't expecting that. He did have some wheels though.
By 2 or 3 steps.
And who do you cheer for from the NFL? Like which team, like the Broncos or the Chargers?
A little both. It's both. Just because I'm from San Diego originally.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah. And your thoughts on Justin Herbert joining the Chargers?
I wish we would have won another round.
Oh.
Wow.
Exclusive.
Please go with a little
But
more.
I could be proven wrong.
You're implying Tua Tagovailoa, right?
Yes.
Interesting. Of course.
I'm
Go ahead, Justin.
kind of right there with you, Ahmaad. I was secretly hoping that Tagovailoa would end up in San Diego. I just thought it was a better fit, a better feel. He understands the atmosphere over there, and my gosh, what he could do with the weapons they have right now.
Yeah, better options, yeah.
Exactly. That's what I thought.
And what advice would you give to Tua? Obviously, he's a little bit injury prone, but what advice would you give him?
Hey, go out there and have fun. Let it loose. Go out there and just play. Don't worry about the injury part of that. You want to take some hits. Go out there and do what you've been doing. I mean, if it's worked this long, keep doing it.
Something to definitely look at. Of course, he's here with the Dolphins, and we'll see what happens this season. But have you heard anything about college football this season, like the scheduling wise?
I have not. I mean, I got a lot of people asking. I have not. I think I am a little biased because I'm still kind of pulling my hair out if I could ever, trying to see what we're going to do in terms of school and just students in general. So right now, I just think sports are a little bit secondary right now.
And what's the plan for school this fall for you guys?
Right now, the plan is we're going virtually, in person, and online with the district. But the way that the cases are increasing daily. I got to do a Zoom meeting tonight, but I mean, the way the cases are increasing, especially here in Florida, I'd be surprised if we're going that all physically.
Yeah, I was just about to ask that. I was kind of interested to see how y'all were responding right now, because I know how crazy things are in Florida. I'm in Mississippi, and things aren't any less crazy, and we're all still kind of looking around trying to figure out what's going on. Like you said, we got the e-learning in place. Some school systems are allowing kids to come in, and some football seasons are going on come hell or high water. Some have actually said we're not going to have a season. So it's just crazy.
Yeah, we'll see. I think we're all in a bit of a standstill. I think we're kind of juggling until the next big, and I hate to, for lack of a better term, outbreak comes to fruition, whether that be, the vaccine is here or some more bad news. Right now we're just kind of all, wandering around like ants. Should we close? Should we open? It's only a matter of time before, there's another topic on the menu. So I just got my fingers crossed, especially with sports and school opening back up. It's only going to get a little worse.
We'll see what happens. Of course, play it by ear, take it week by week. And of course, we'll hear more this week from the SEC and the AAC, see if, with the whole scheduling issues. Poll question of the day: which is your favorite milk chocolate? And we'll go with Ahmaad.
What are the choices?
Reese's.
Well,
Reese's.
Choices are Hershey's, Lindt, Godiva, or Hershey's, Lindt, or
we're talking
Godiva.
about pure chocolate.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to go Hershey. I mean, come on. I mean,
is there any other?
I thought
Dove chocolate. My bad. Last church.
No,
Dove.
come on.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Justin, what's your choice?
Right, come on.
No, man, there is no choice besides Hershey's.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, these other man, no.
Yeah. Hershey's is winning 43%, Lindt 18%, and Godiva is actually going second, then Lindt, then that's it. Dove chocolate at 12%. So and of course you can go ahead to our Twitter account and able to vote for your favorite milk chocolate, because today's National Milk Chocolate Day. Ahmaad, Galloway, what is the best way for people to reach you, or what's the best way to reach you online?
I'm easy to find, Lord. I'm in education. I'm at Workman Middle. I'm here in Pensacola. Certainly have a Facebook page. But I mean, if it's education, I'm there. You can find me around the Bama games when the seasons begin. But I'm here in Pensacola, Escambia County Education.
And when will you join Twitter
and Instagram? We already talked about this.
We're gonna figure this thing out. I say give me until the end of the week, and then I'm gonna have them up and going.
Because there'll be 10,000 followers waiting for you, at least.
And I'll be ready.
If you need help with that Instagram account, I'm more than willing to help you out with that, brother.
Awesome. I'm going to take you up on it.
And Justin Reilly, what's the best way to reach you, talk to you about your healing process with your back? Because you had a huge back issue last week, Ahmaad.
Definitely a focus, man. Yeah, Ahmaad, if you didn't know, a powerlifting meet last weekend, pulled a muscle in my back, my final attempt. Got the weight, it counted, but it came with quite a price. So I am feeling better.
But stay well, stay safe, especially please stay healthy. And just forgive me, I'm walking in a crowd of people, but I think I can still hear you. Stay healthy.
Yeah,
I know.
We gotta go. But Justin, say your Twitter handle and your Instagram handle.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Ahmaad, for coming on. It's always a great pleasure to have you. You're one of my favorite players when I was there, and it's just an honor to be able to learn more about you and your journey. As far as finding me here on social media, at Justin Riley 7 on Twitter, at Justin Riley _7 on Instagram. I also contribute regularly to the Sportscast at the Sportscast 1. That's the same for both Twitter and Instagram. Reminder, next Tuesday, we will have Ahmaad's former teammate, Terry Jones Jr., coming on, so stay tuned for that.
TJ. And of course, you can reach us at thesportscast.net, thesportscast.net, or on Twitter at thesportscast1. Tomorrow we have Sean Barstow all the way from the UK to talk about the Mike Tyson fight, which I heard Ahmaad is willing to buy on paper for $100.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that one. But I'm interested to watch.
Anyways, Ahmaad, any closing words?
No, hey guys, thank you. Certainly an honor. Really like what you guys are doing. You're helping us to stay relevant. You kind of help us practice being young, but guys, just thanks for the support. As players, we certainly appreciate it, but I think we must admit it, as players, we're certainly fans of the program as well. So keep it up, guys. Thank you.
Ahmaad, we should start a foundation on pushing these players to to finish like their degree.
You know my contact information, so let's get together.
Hey, Justin, any closing words from you?
Well, yeah, just again, man, just really excited that we had this opportunity, especially interviewing you as a player, but also a man of God and the leader that you've been because of that. It's always been very special for me, and then the rest of us fans, we've had the opportunity to get to know you not only when you're there, but throughout the years. And, yeah, you will always be relevant to us, brother.
Thank you, guys, man. You're making me blessed. I think I'm going to jump off the phone on that one. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Ahmaad, I appreciate it. And thank you so much.
Roll Tide.